His own son signed him out of his life. But he didn't know the old man still had one secret left. Before we start, join our YouTube family by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. Now let's get into the story. The night his son threw him out, it didn't happen with shouting. It happened quietly, almost politely, and somehow that made it worse. The old man stood at the doorway, one hand gripping the handle of a worn-out suitcase, the other trembling slightly as if it had forgotten its purpose. The house behind him, his house, was brightly lit, warm, alive, familiar, but it no longer belonged to him. "Abba, please don't make this harder than it already is." His son's voice came from behind. Him, calm, controlled, like a man explaining a business decision. The old man didn't turn around. He kept staring at the small garden outside. The same garden he had built with his own hands, brick by brick, soil by soil. The mango tree in the corner had been planted the day his son was born. He remembered holding a tiny, crying baby in his arms, promising silently, "I will give you everything." And he had everything. "I'm not making it hard," the old man finally said, his voice dry, almost distant. "I'm just trying to understand." There was a pause. Behind him, his son exhaled, impatient now. "You signed the papers, Abba. The house is legally mine." "We talked about this." "Yes," the old man nodded slowly. "We talked about it." But what they hadn't talked about was this moment, this door, this ending. A woman's voice cut in sharply. "We don't have all night." His daughter-in-law stood beside his son now, arms folded, irritation written all over her face. She didn't bother hiding it anymore. "We have guests coming tomorrow. This situation needs to be resolved." Situation. The old man smiled faintly. That's what he had become. Not a father, not a man. A situation. He finally turned around. For a brief second, his eyes met his son's. And something flickered there. Not guilt. Not even hesitation. Just distance. Cold, unfamiliar distance. "Where will you go?" his son asked, almost as an afterthought. The old man shrugged lightly. "I don't know yet." Another pause. His son nodded once, as if that answer was acceptable. "All right." And that was it. No hug. No apology. No stopping him. The old man stepped out. The door closed behind him with a soft click. And just like that, 40 years of sacrifice ended in silence. The street was unusually quiet. A faint yellow streetlight flickered above him as he slowly walked forward, dragging his suitcase along the rough pavement. The wheels made a soft scraping sound, steady, lonely. He didn't cry. Not yet. There was a strange numbness inside him, like his heart hadn't caught up with reality. Or maybe it refused to. A cold breeze brushed past him, carrying distant sounds. Of laughter from nearby houses, families, dinners, life going on as usual. He stopped walking. Looked back. The house stood there glowing warmly under the night sky. For a second, just 1 second, he almost turned back, almost knocked, almost said, "Beta, I have nowhere else to go." But something inside him held him back. Not pride. No, something deeper, something quieter, dignity. He turned away and kept walking. Hours later, he found himself sitting on a wooden bench at an old bus stop. The paint was chipped, the metal frame slightly rusted. The kind of place people waited, but never stayed. His suitcase rested beside him. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the ground. His mind replayed everything. Every birthday, every school fee, every sleepless night, every dream he had buried, so his son could rise. And now he was here, alone, with a suitcase, and nowhere to go. A bitter laugh escaped his lips. "Strange," he murmured to himself, "how a house can be full your whole life, and empty in one night." A bus passed by without stopping. Dust rose into the air. Silence returned. Then, a voice. "Baba, are you all right?" The old man looked up. A young boy stood a few feet away, maybe 16 or 17. Thin, curious eyes. A backpack hanging off one shoulder. "I've been watching you," the boy said carefully. "You've been sitting here for a long time." The old man forced a small smile. "I'm fine, Beta." The boy hesitated, then walked closer. "You don't look fine." There was no judgment in his voice, just concern, real concern. And somehow that broke something inside the old man. His lips trembled slightly, but he controlled it. "I'm just resting." The boy nodded slowly, not fully convinced. "Do you have somewhere to go?" The question hung in the air, heavy, Honest. The old man looked away. No. The boy glanced at the empty road, then back at him. Come with me, he said suddenly. The old man blinked. What? My place isn't much, the boy continued, a bit awkward now. But you can stay for the night. At least. The old man stared at him. A stranger, offering him shelter, while his own son. He swallowed hard. That's kind of you, he said softly. But I don't want to be a burden. You won't be, the boy replied quickly. It's just me and my mother. She won't mind. How do you know? The boy smiled slightly. Because she's the kind of person who helps people. The old man looked at him for a long moment. Something about his eyes. They reminded him of someone. Someone he used to know. Long ago, before life became complicated. He nodded slowly. All right. The house was small. 2 rooms. A narrow kitchen. Faded walls that had seen better days. But it was clean. Warm. Alive. The boy's mother welcomed him without hesitation. No questions. No suspicion. Just kindness. Sit, she said gently. You must be tired. The old man sat down on a simple wooden chair. For the first time that night, he felt something shift inside him. Not happiness, not relief, but something close. A quiet safety. The woman placed a glass of water in front of him. Eat something, she added. He nodded. Thank you. As he took the first bite, his hands trembled slightly. Not from hunger, but from emotion. Across the room, the boy watched him quietly. There was something unusual in the way he looked at the old man. Not curiosity, not pity, something else. Something deeper, as if he recognized him. Later that night, after everyone had gone to sleep, the old man lay awake on a thin mattress. The ceiling above him was cracked. A faint light seeped in through the window. He closed his eyes, but sleep didn't come. Instead, memories, voices, faces, and then a thought. Sharp, clear, unavoidable. What if everything that happened tonight wasn't just betrayal? What if it was planned? His eyes opened slowly. The room was silent, but his mind was no longer calm, because something about the way his son had acted, something about those papers, something about that sudden urgency to throw him out. It didn't feel right. It felt calculated. And in that moment, for the first time that night, the old man didn't feel broken. He felt awake, because deep down, he knew one thing. This wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. But what he didn't know yet was that the truth waiting ahead would not only change his life, it would shake his son's world to its very core. Morning came quietly, not with alarms or urgency, but with the soft clinking of utensils and the faint smell of tea. The old man opened his eyes slowly. For a moment he forgot where he was. The cracked ceiling above him, the thin mattress beneath him, the unfamiliar silence. It all felt distant, like a dream he hadn't fully stepped into yet. Then it hit him. The door, the suitcase, the street, his son. He sat up. His chest tightened slightly, but he didn't let it show. Not even to himself. From the other room he could hear voices. The boy and his mother. Soft, ordinary, alive. He stood up, adjusted his shirt, and stepped out. The small room was filled with warm morning light, pouring in through a half-open window. Dust particles floated in the air, glowing like tiny stars. The boy looked up first. Good morning, Baba. The word hit him unexpectedly. Baba. He forced a small smile. Good morning. The woman turned, holding 2 cups of tea. You're awake. Sit, have some tea. He hesitated for a second, then sat. The cup felt warm in his hands, real, grounding. For a few minutes, no one spoke, just the quiet rhythm of morning. Then the boy asked, Did you sleep well? The old man nodded. Better than I expected. A faint smile crossed the boy's face. But then, that look again. That same strange look from last night. Like he was trying to place him, recognize something. The old man noticed it this time. Why are you looking at me like that? He asked gently. The boy blinked, slightly embarrassed. Sorry, it's just... He hesitated. His mother shot him a quick glance, subtle but sharp. Don't. But the boy continued anyway. You look familiar. The room went still. The old man's fingers tightened slightly around the cup. Familiar? He repeated calmly. Yes, the boy said, leaning forward slightly. I don't know why. It's just something about your face. The old man held his gaze for a moment, then smiled faintly. Maybe I remind you of someone. Maybe, the boy said. But his voice carried doubt and curiosity. The woman quickly stepped in. Finish your tea, she said to the boy, a little too firmly. You'll be late. The tension broke. but not completely. Something had been stirred, and it wasn't going back to sleep. Later that day, the old man stepped outside. The sun was bright, almost too bright. It felt strange to be walking without purpose, without direction, without a place that belonged to him. He wandered through narrow streets, past small shops and roadside vendors. Life moved around him as if nothing had changed. But inside him, everything had. He stopped near a newspaper stand. The headlines caught his eye. Big bold letters, sharp words. He leaned closer, and then his breath stopped. There it was, a name, his name, printed clearly on the front page. Local property transfer sparks controversy. Senior citizen signs away assets. His fingers trembled. As he picked up the paper, he read quickly. Too quickly. Words blurred, but one sentence stood out. Sources suggest the transfer may have been executed under questionable circumstances. Questionable. His heartbeat quickened. What does that mean? He whispered. The vendor looked at him. You didn't hear? He said casually. Big story in the area. Old man signs everything to his son. Now there's talk of fraud. Fraud. The word hit like a hammer. The old man swallowed hard. Fraud by who? The vendor shrugged. They're still investigating, but people are saying the son rushed everything. Lawyers, documents, all done very fast. The old man felt the ground shift beneath him. Fast. Yes, too fast. He remembered that day. The papers, the urgency. Sign here, Abba, it's just a formality. He had trusted him. Why wouldn't he? He was his son, his only son. His hands clenched into fists. No, he murmured. No, he wouldn't. But the doubt was there now, growing, spreading, poisoning every memory. When he returned to the house, the boy was waiting, sitting near the door, as if he had been expecting him. Where did you go? The boy asked. Just walking. The boy nodded, then noticed the newspaper in his hand. What's that? The old man hesitated, then handed it over. The boy read it, slowly, carefully. His expression changed, from curiosity to confusion to something deeper. This is about you, he said. Yes. Silence filled the room. The boy looked up. Do you think it's true? The question was simple, but heavy. The old man sat down, tired, more tired than he had ever felt. I don't know anymore. That was the truth, and it scared him. The boy leaned back slightly, thinking, then said, You should find out. The old man looked at him. How? Go back, the boy said. The old man shook his head immediately. No, I'm not saying to stay, the boy continued quickly. Just ask questions. Something feels wrong, right? The old man didn't respond, because he knew the boy was right. Something did feel wrong. Very wrong. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Not because of pain, but because of clarity. Memories replayed again, but differently this time. Slower, sharper. He noticed things he hadn't before. The way his son avoided eye contact while signing. The lawyer who kept rushing him. The missing pages he never questioned. The sudden urgency. The pressure. It wasn't care. It wasn't concern. It was control. His eyes opened in the dark. And this time, there was no confusion, only realization. I was tricked, he whispered. The words felt heavy, but true. And then, something changed inside him. That same man who walked out quietly, who accepted everything without resistance, who chose dignity over confrontation. He was still there. But now, he wasn't alone, because alongside that dignity, something else had awakened. Something stronger. Something sharper. Resolve. The next morning, he stood at the door, dressed neatly, suitcase in hand. The boy looked confused. You're leaving? The old man nodded. I have something to finish. The woman stepped forward. Where will you go? He looked at her, and for the first time since they met, his eyes carried strength. Back. The boy stood up quickly. Are you sure? The old man gave a small nod. Yes. A pause. Then the boy said quietly, If you need help, I'll come with you. The old man smiled faintly. Not yet. He stepped outside. The sunlight hit his face. Bright, clear, different. This time he wasn't walking away. He was walking toward something. Toward truth, toward answers, toward confrontation. But deep down, he knew one thing. This wasn't going to be simple. Because if his son really had deceived him, then this wasn't just betrayal. It was something much bigger, something dangerous. And as he reached the end of the street, he stopped. Because across the road, a black car was parked. Engine running, windows tinted, watching, waiting. And the moment the old man noticed it, the car door slowly opened. But what stepped out of that car was something he never expected to see again. The car door opened slowly. The old man didn't move, didn't breathe. For a second, even the sunlight felt frozen in the air. A polished black shoe touched the ground, then another, and finally, the man stepped out, tall, well-dressed, sharp eyes behind thin glasses. There was something precise about him, calculated, controlled. The kind of man who didn't waste movements, didn't waste words. The old man's chest tightened. He knew that face. Not well, but enough. "Mr. Kareem," the man said calmly, closing the car door behind him. The sound echoed louder than it should have. The old man's fingers tightened around his suitcase. "You," he said slowly. "You were there that day." The man nodded once. "At the signing?" "Yes." The lawyer, the same one who kept rushing him, who kept saying, "It's just formalities," who never once looked him in the eye. The old man's voice hardened slightly. "What do you want?" The man adjusted his cuffs. "I was hoping we could talk." "I have nothing to say to you." The man smiled faintly. "That's unfortunate, because I have quite a lot to say to you." Silence. A car passed in the distance. Life moved on, but here, everything had stopped. The old man didn't respond. So the man continued. "You read the news, didn't you?" A pause. "Yes. And now you're asking questions." "Not a question. A statement." The old man took a slow breath. "I should have asked them earlier." "Yes," the man said softly. "You should have." There was no sympathy in his voice. Just truth. Sharp, unforgiving truth. The old man's eyes narrowed. "Was it fraud?" The man tilted his head slightly. "That depends." "On what?" "On how much you remember." The words hung in the air. Heavy. Confusing. "What does that mean?" the old man demanded. The man stepped closer. Not threatening, but deliberate. "It means, Mr. Kareem, that not everything you signed was shown to you." The old man's heart skipped. A chill ran through his body. "I knew it," he whispered. "Yes," the man said. "You knew something was wrong, but you trusted the wrong person." The old man looked away. His jaw tightened. "Why are you telling me this?" The man studied him for a moment, then said, "Because things didn't go as planned." The old man's eyes snapped back. "What things?" The man exhaled slowly. For the first time, there was a crack in his composure. Small, but visible. "Your son," he said. "He made additional moves." The old man felt his pulse rise. "What kind of moves?" The man hesitated, then reached into his coat, pulled out a file, thick, heavy, and handed it over. The old man didn't take it immediately. "What is this?" "Proof." A single word. Cold. Final. Slowly, carefully, the old man took the file. His hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Pages. Documents. Signatures. Numbers. Transfers. And then his eyes stopped, locked onto a single line. His breath disappeared. This can't be. But it was. Not just the house, not just the property. Everything. Every account. Every saving. Every asset he had built over 40 years. Gone. Transferred. Moved. Erased. The world around him faded. Sounds blurred. Time slowed. "He didn't just take the house," the man said quietly. "He took everything." The old man's knees weakened. He stepped back slightly, gripping the file like it was the only thing holding him upright. "No," he whispered. "No, he wouldn't." But deep down, he already knew. The man watched him carefully, not with cruelty, but with a strange kind of interest, like he was observing a moment unfold exactly as expected. "There's more," the man added. The old man looked up slowly, his eyes different now, no longer confused, no longer soft. "What more?" he asked. The man's voice lowered. "Your son isn't acting alone." The air shifted. The old man's grip tightened. "Who else?" The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked toward the small house behind them, where the boy and his mother lived, watching, quietly. Then he said, "You need to be very careful who you trust." The old man followed his gaze. His heart skipped. "What are you saying?" The man stepped back, creating distance. "I'm saying," he replied, "that this situation is bigger than a family dispute." The old man's mind raced. Nothing made sense. Or maybe everything did. Too many pieces. Too many coincidences. Too many unanswered questions. The boy, his strange familiarity, the mother's silence, the rushed documents, the lawyer's involvement, the newspaper, the car, this moment. It wasn't random. None of it was. The old man closed the file slowly. And when he looked up again, he wasn't the same man who had been thrown out 2 nights ago. Something had changed. Completely. His posture straightened. His eyes sharpened. His voice steadied. "If they think I'm finished," he said quietly, "they're wrong." The man studied him, and for the first time, he smiled. Not faintly, not politely, but with something close to approval. "Good," he said. because what comes next will require more than dignity. The old man didn't flinch. What will it require? The man leaned in slightly, his voice almost a whisper. Power. Silence. The word lingered. Heavy. Dangerous. Real. The old man looked down at the file again, then back at the house, then at the road ahead. Everything had been taken from him. Everything he had built. Everything he had trusted. But in that moment, he realized something. They had made one mistake, a fatal one. They thought he was weak. They thought he would walk away quietly. They thought his story had ended. But they forgot one thing. He had nothing left to lose. And a man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous man of all. The old man took a step forward, then another, not away, not this time, toward something new, toward confrontation, toward truth, toward justice. And as the sunlight burned brighter across the street, he made a silent promise, not for revenge, but for something deeper, something stronger. He would take back everything, not just his wealth, not just his home, but his identity, his dignity, his truth. And when he did, the same son who threw him out without a second thought would be the one standing at the door, begging to be let back in. But the real question wasn't whether he would win. The real question was, when the truth finally came out, who would still be standing beside him? And who had been lying to him from the very beginning?